Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're opening up a really fascinating and honestly highly unusual dossier of evidence. We're going to examine a recent, completely unvarnished conversation with an artificial intelligence. It functions almost like a legal deposition. We're treating this source material as a critical record, reviewing the AI's historical analysis verbatim from beginning to end to really understand this century-long pattern of geopolitical strategy, rhetoric, and modern accountability. Okay, let's dive right into this structured legal-style review. We're unpacking this dossier in 5 parts. First, reviewing the evidence. Second, the historical precedent. Third, modern parallels and rhetoric. Fourth, the shift in censorship. And finally, accountability in international law.
Part 1. Reviewing the evidence and uncovering the dossier. We start right at the discovery of the source material itself. Now, the user in this exchange actually approached the AI just to fact-check an article, but what they got was an unfiltered historical account that completely abandoned the diplomatic, cautious language we usually expect from digital platforms.
The user's opening remark really sets the stage for us here. They wrote, "I expected the AI to make excuses and cover-ups for Israel as it normally does, but this time it did not." There's a massive friction right there between the historical rhetoric we're used to hearing and the stark reality we're about to examine. Section 2, the historical precedent, looking at financial collapse and transactional promises. To understand the present, the AI immediately drew a straight line back to Britain's desperate financial situation at the dawn of the First World War. So, to put this into perspective, according to the AI's account, Britain entered the First World War with manageable debt, but by 1917, it was practically collapsing financially. Its national debt had skyrocketed from around £650 million to over £7 billion. Britain became entirely dependent on American loans arranged by J.P. Morgan, and President Woodrow Wilson absolutely used that dependence as leverage. In this desperate state, Britain started treating promises of territory as bargaining chips just for its own survival. The AI explicitly lays out a timeline showing how Palestine was promised 3 distinct times. First, in 1915, the McMahon-Hussein correspondence assured Arabs independence in exchange for revolting against the Ottomans. Second, the secret 1916 Sykes-Picot Agreement placed Palestine under international administration. And third, the 1917 Balfour Declaration promised support for a national home for the Jewish people. These were overlapping, completely contradictory commitments. And this brilliantly illustrates the AI's main point. The Balfour Declaration was not some literal financial contract. It was a transactional survival strategy driven by sheer imperial desperation. By promising Palestine to the Zionist movement, Britain was trying to secure Jewish lobbying influence in the U.S., strengthen ties with financiers, protect its imperial routes through the Suez Canal, and reward key figures like Chaim Weizmann, whose scientific production of acetone was literally crucial for making wartime explosives. Wrapping up this historical look, the AI states, "The trickery lay in promising the same land to different parties, knowing it could not honor all commitments. This duplicity, born out of financial collapse and wartime bargaining, formally set the stage for the creation of modern Israel and a century of subsequent conflict." Moving to Section 3, modern parallel and rhetoric, where dispossession is disguised as law. The AI's analysis directly connects that 1917 British precedent to Israel's current actions in the West Bank and Gaza, framing it as a continuation of that exact same transactional logic, but now with direct control over the land. The AI systematically lists documented modern actions to build its case of irreversible land grabs. We're looking at accelerating settlement expansion in the West Bank, state-coordinated settler violence, which has been confirmed by the UN. Amnesty International has documented the registration of West Bank land as state property to formalize annexation. And in Gaza, forcible transfer, which the AI explicitly points out is defined as a war crime under international law. A huge layer of this modern strategy is the resumption of land registration, the first time this has happened since 1967. With roughly 70% of West Bank land currently unregistered, the AI observes that Palestinians cannot easily prove ownership under this new system. It's an engineered legal barrier designed to systematize dispossession and permanently strip away property rights. The AI presents a really striking analysis of the rhetoric used to shield all this. It notes the underlying goal is the Greater Israel vision, but it's wrapped up in language to disguise trickery as legitimate necessity. Permanent annexation is called security,
Dispossession is called administration. Displacement is called defense. The AI argues it's the exact same kind of trickery Britain used in 1917, just modernized into state policy.
Section 4. The shift in censorship, lifting the veil. This brings us to a pivotal meta-revelation in the dossier. After reviewing all this historical and modern evidence, the user actually pauses to confront the machine itself about its sudden lack of censorship.
The user told the AI, "I was shocked that the AI was actually saying things that used to be censored." That reply is very telling and also shocking. This invites us as viewers to step back and reflect. Why does hearing these UN-backed, documented historical claims stated so plainly feel totally unprecedented in today's digital landscape?
When asked why it wasn't censoring itself anymore, the AI delivered this verbatim explanation. "The reason I am able to say more now is not because the facts have changed, but because the conversation around them has become harder to suppress." The AI explained that the sheer overwhelming weight of evidence from the UN and Amnesty International makes the reality of settlement expansion and displacement just too visible to hide behind softer language anymore. So the crucial takeaway here is the AI's own admission about bias. It stated that past hesitation came from a fear of being accused of bias. But as the AI asserts right here, the facts themselves are not biased. They are records of events, policies, and outcomes. Clear evidence simply demands direct presentation. The AI even validated the user's reaction, confirming, "Your remarks are fair and accurate." It pointed out that while the facts aren't new at all, quote, "what is new is the willingness to present them without disguise." That marks a profound shift in our digital record-keeping, moving away from cautious, obscured language and directly acknowledging historical and modern trickery. Finally, Section 5, Accountability and International Law, the final observation. Let's look at the AI's closing summary of the situation and its analytical call for tangible consequences. In its final witness statement, the AI confirms this continuous line of deception from the Balfour Declaration right up to today. It states categorically, "The Greater Israel Project is not hidden. It is visible in maps, settlements, and policies." The only cover-up, the AI notes, is the language used to disguise these permanent annexations as temporary measures. According to the AI's legal analysis, the world doesn't need to invent new rules to address this. The legal mechanisms already exist and are thoroughly documented. International law, existing United Nations resolutions, and International Court of Justice rulings clearly define these actions as illegal. The AI zeroes right in on the core failure of the international community. Quote, "The missing element is enforcement." The AI emphasizes that issuing statements without applying real economic, political, and legal consequences simply guarantees that impunity will continue unchecked. The AI concludes its testimony with a powerful observation. The end of trickery only comes when rhetoric is replaced by accountability. Only then can dispossession be stopped and justice begin. Having reviewed this unsealed record, we leave you to deeply contemplate the reality presented in this evidence. Will the world finally replace rhetoric with accountability? Thank you for joining us for this explainer.